Billionaire William was lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by panic doctors, when he surprised everyone with an unexpected refusal. The devices whistled on alert. Time ran against him, but his words sounded stronger than any diagnosis. "I don't enter this operating room until I see that photo." Silence took over the team, and even young waitress Sarah, who served cafes for the on-duty, stopped without understanding. What could make such a powerful man, owner of empires and incalculable fortune, refuse to fight for his own life? There were too many secrets in the trajectory of that billionaire, and every look of him seemed to hide a hidden life that no one knew. Some doctors murmured, others looked at each other, unable to decipher. Who was really William behind the figures and prestige? What was in that image he required to see at any cost? It was clear that it was not just any memory, but a swings that still remained hidden. Before you discover the details of this story, leave your like, subscribe to the channel and comment. What would you do if you had the power to hold your own life in your hands? Your interaction is what keeps this kind of story coming to you. And when Sarah finally stepped forward, something shone on her neck. And then a voice interrupted the room. The heart monitors blinked in red, as if they wanted to warn that there was no time. William, billionaire surrounded by nurses and doctors, breathed with difficulty. The director of the hospital, the rigid Dr. James, entered the room with the authority of a boss, used to giving orders and not receiving negatives. "Prepare the operating room now. If we wait a few more minutes, we'll not be able to save it," he said hard. But William raised his hand, even weak, and his voice echoed as an unexpected thunder. "I won't, not even see that picture." The shock traveled all present. The doctors looked at each other, unable to understand. A nurse dropped a clipboard on the floor, and even Sarah, waitress that served coffee for the staff, widened her eyes. Emily, the doctor responsible for the team, approached. "Mr. William, your life is at risk. You can't wait. What photo is this?" He closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and with a hoarse voice murmured, "That's all that I have left of my secrets. From this hidden life you don't know. Without her, I prefer not to continue." The tension has increased, every second lost. The billionaire approached death. But no one knew what he said. A photo? What image could be so important to the point of worth more than life itself? And would you, in his place, confess or hide? Dr. James did not accept that drama. "This is crazy. We are not here to deal with whim. This man needs immediate surgery." He signaled the team to start the preparations, but William held hard on Emily's wrist as if to beg. His eyes, though weak, transmitted a despair that did not seem like staging. "If you take me now, it will be in vain. I need to see the picture in the necklace." To paste? Everyone in the room stopped. No one had mentioned some to that moment. The revelation made the air even heavier. Sarah, waitress who watched everything from the door, instinctively led her hand to her neck, feeling the cold weight of the chain hidden under the uniform. But I said nothing. Emily, confused, asked, "What paste is you speaking? Who possesses you?" William did not answer. His lips shaved, but his voice failed. Just stared at Sarah as if she knew something no one else knew. "Please," he managed to whisper. The young woman froze. That could not be happening. The necklace he wore was a family gift, passed generation to generation, given by his mother Amanda with the recommendation of never getting rid of him. How could William know of the existence of that photo hidden inside? "Sarah, come here," ordered Dr. James, impatient. She approached slowly, her heart fired. "And you, if you were in her place, show or hide." William tried to lift his hand toward the young woman's neck, but her weakness prevented him. "Still," he murmured, "this necklace, this picture, it's the key to everything I lost." With each word, the suspense grew. Billionaire seemed attached to a past that no one knew, a past full of secrets that threatened to come to light. The shock was just beginning. Emily looked at Sarah and asked in a low voice, "Do you know what he's talking about?" The young woman hesitated. His instinct said to hide, but William's intensity of the look seemed to beg for the truth. The dilemma consumed her. If she revealed the photo, she could change everything she knew about her family. But if he hid, perhaps he was responsible for the death of a powerful man. I don't know, he replied, trying to disguise. Dr. James hit his hand on instrument table. This has gone too far. If we don't start now, it's late. We won't lose a patient because of past fantasies. At this moment, William lifted his voice with an unexpected force. I don't enter that room without seeing the picture. The tension exploded. Billionaire counted blood, the monitors fired alarms, and the nurses rushed to stabilize it. Emily was trying to keep her calm, but something in her said that ignoring that request could be fatal not only for man's health, but for something much bigger that everyone was still unaware. And you have gone through something that an old secret seemed to weigh more than life itself. Sarah felt her hands sweat. The necklace was there, under the uniform. Just pull it out. But a voice inside her shouted so as not to do so, as if opening that reliquary would trigger a stream of revelations impossible to control. The billionaire, now almost without strength, stared only at her. His eyes begged. His body struggled to resist. The whole room was waiting, suspended between James's order and Sarah's silence. The decision was in his hands. And then, before someone could act, an unexpected detail shone under the cold light of the hospital. William's breath was panting, each breath seemed torn to a tired body, but his mind was still attached to something larger than physical pain. The silence of the room was broken when, between moans, he articulated words that seemed to echo on the hospital walls. My necklace. My past. Everyone looked at each other, confused. Emily, the doctor who led the team, repeated it low, almost to herself. Past. Past. It was as if he had heard a password for a secret locked for decades. Sarah, the waitress on duty that watched everything unintentionally get involved, felt a shiver through her spine. The chain under his uniform weighed like never before. That simple jewel, which always turned as just a gift from his mother, suddenly looked like a link between lives that should not cross. Dr. James, the hospital boss, had no patience for mysteries. This is delirium caused by pain. Prepare anesthesia now. His voice was sharp, but no one moved. Everyone was waiting for Sarah's reaction, which remained motionless, with their hands hidden behind the apron. William opened his eyes again, fixing them on her. I didn't need to point. I didn't need to say names. The look denounced. He knew the necklace was there, and would you, in her place, confess or hide? Sarah felt her heart shoot. That picture inside the reliquary had always intrigued her, a sepia image of a slight boy sitting on the steps of an old orphanage. His mother, Amanda, never explained where the photo came from. I just said, this necklace is part of our family. One day you'll understand. But like William, billionaire, could you know that? Emily tried to argue. Mr. William, we need to act fast. What relationship does this necklace have with your life? He struggled to speak, every word loaded with pain and memory. Everything. Without him, nothing makes sense. It's not about money. It's not about business. It's about who I am. The weight of the sentence crossed the room. Billionaire, used to being seen only as a merciless tycoon, revealed a piece of her hidden life. A life marked not by mansions or luxury cars, but by memories that have never healed. Sarah swallowed hard. His mother's memory, saying never to open the reliquary in public, echoed in his mind. If it showed it now, it would reveal not only a secret, but perhaps a shocking truth that would change everyone's life. And have you been to something similar, where a family inheritance hid more questions than answers? As he hesitated, William coughed hard. Bloodstains dyed the white sheet. The monitor alarm fired again. The nurses ran to stabilize it. Emily held his arm, trying to comfort him. Resist, sir. We need to understand what this picture means. William, even on the verge of unconsciousness, muttered, Don't let... He decides for me. It's not delirium. It's my truth. The last word made Sarah shudder. Truth. Not just a memory, but the shocking truth that connected her mother, that necklace, and now the man who fought for life. Dr. James impatiently lifted his voice. Enough. Medicine cannot stop because of fantasies. This hospital is not the stage for family dramas or buried secrets. Secrets, William repeated almost in a whisper. Secrets you can't imagine. Nurse Hannah, who had only watched her silence until then. What if it's not delirium? What if there is anything we really need to see before surgery? James gave a severe look. Do you work here, or in cheap soap operas? Let's not risk a billionaire because of invented stories. But there was something in William's tone that could not be ignored. His teary eyes did not ask for treatment, asked for redemption. Sarah stepped ahead, but retreated immediately. The dilemma was unbearable. If it showed the necklace, your life would never be the same. If he hid, he could carry the guilt of that man's death. The monitor whistled higher, announcing the time was running out. Billionaire was on the edge. Emily stared at Sarah and said in a firm tone, "If you know something, say now. His fate may depend on it." The young woman's heart shot. She took her hand slowly to her neck, feeling the cold chain against the skin. Silence was absolute, as if everyone awaited their decision. But before he could reveal, William released one last sentence, loaded with mystery. "Within this necklace is the key to what I became, the key to my true family." The shock was immediate. No one expected to hear the word family get out of his mouth, not associated with heirs or fortunate disputes, but to something intimate, almost sacred. Sarah backed down a step, stunned. The photo on her necklace from a boy she never knew could be William himself. Would it be possible? Dr. James sighed, exasperated, ready to order the start of surgery to force again. But at that very moment, William gathered the last forces, looked at Sarah and said clearly, "Show them, or everyone here will live a lie." The air was dense, the unbearable tension. Sarah, trembling, began to pull the chain out of the uniform. Everyone's eyes accompanied the movement, and then the door of the room opened sharply. The door opened with violence, making everyone hold their breath. It was just an assistant bringing reports, but the impact of that sudden entrance was enough to paralyze Sarah. The necklace she held between her fingers shone under the cold light of the room, and there was no way to hide. Everyone saw. Dr. James narrowed his eyes, annoyed. "This is ridiculous. A family jewel has no place here. Keep it, and let's go to surgery." But William, the billionaire, gathered forces that no one believed he was still. He lifted his hand toward Sarah, his voice hoarse but full of urgency. "Show the picture. Now." The whole room seemed to hold on to her breath. The young waitress, that now became the center of everything, pulled the small stream and dropped the necklace out of the uniform. The silver reliquary was scratched for time, but still holding a special glow. With trembling fingers, she opened the closure. Inside, an old, faded photograph appeared. It was the image of a lean boy sitting on the stone steps of an orphanage. The eyes were unmistakable, large, intense, full of pain and hope. A murmur toured the room. Emily took her hand to her mouth. Even Dr. James, always skeptical, stayed for a moment in silence. William cried. Tears ran down their temples. "It's me! This is me!" The shock was general. The billionaire, which everyone knew as relentless, owner of empires and unmistakable secrets, was facing a hidden truth, a hidden life that no one imagined. Sarah trembled. I didn't understand how this man could recognize the photo. For her, that image had always been a mystery. "My mother gave me this necklace when I was a child. She never explained who the boy was, just said, 'One day you will understand.'" William tried to lift in the bed, but the weak body did not respond. Still, his voice carried conviction. "Your mother, Amanda. I remember her." The revelation hit Sarah as a blow. Your mother, Amanda. How could that billionaire meet her simple mother, who worked her entire life to support family? And would you, in her place, believe or suspect? Emily, unable to hide her curiosity, asked, "Mr. William, what does this photo mean? What connection is there between you and her mother?" He took a deep breath, fighting the pain. "This picture was taken in the orphanage where I grew up. I was nobody, just a lost boy, and there was a girl there, Amanda. She was the only one who reached me her hand. Sarah felt her legs weakened. Your mother? In the same orphanage as that man?" It was impossible to reconcile the image of the loving and silent mother with the memory of a billionaire who had built empires about secrets and lies. Dr. James, trying to recover control of the situation, raised his voice. "This is just coincidence, the delirium of a man on the brink of death. We cannot stop surgery because of old stories." But William reacted with an unexpected force. "It's not delirium. This photo is proof of my origin. The world believes I was born to be powerful, but shocking truth is that my life began in abandonment, and this woman, her mother, is the link I could never forget." The silence that followed was almost unbearable. Sarah was looking at the necklace, the photo, and the man in agony, trying to gather the pieces of a puzzle that had never imagined being part. "And you have gone through something similar, where a secret family changes completely the way you see your origins." Emily knew she needed answers, but she also knew time was short. "Mr. William, if this is true, why only now reveals? Why did you never sort Amanda?" His eyes filled with tears again. "Because the world turned me on something I didn't want to be. I was forced to hide my hidden life. I had to erase my past to be respected as boss from business. But now, in the face of death, I can no longer carry that weight." Sarah felt her tears burn her eyes. It all seemed an impossible tale, but William's intensity of the voice left no doubt. He really believed in every word. Dr. James, increasingly impatient, signaled nurses, "Prepare anesthesia. This conversation has lasted too much." But William raised his arm and in a last effort held Sarah's hand. "Don't let them shut me up. This photo is the key to everything. If I get into this room without looking at the truth, it will be as if I had died anyway." The young woman shuddered. Billionaire now depended on her, the decision to expose or hide what could forever change the story of her family. Everyone was waiting for her reaction. The necklace was still open, the exposed photo for everyone to see. It was impossible to deny, but assuming meant to dive into secrets that perhaps even his mother had the courage to reveal. Sarah took a deep breath, about to speak. The heart accelerated, the words formed in his mouth, and then, before he could pronounce anything, a voice echoed from the corridor door. "This photo should never have been shown." The voice that echoed from the corridor silent all immediately. "This photo should never have been shown." The impact was so strong that even the constant heart monitor beep seemed to decrease. Sarah, still holding the open necklace, turned scared. At the door, Dr. James advanced with firm steps, bringing with him not only medical authority, but the posture of a true boss who did not accept being challenged. "Enough of that," he declared imperatively. "We are wasting precious time. This man is a critical patient, not a cheap drama character. If we continue with this circus, Billionaire will die right in front of us. Prepare the operating room immediately." The silence turned into a murmur. Nurses looked at each other without knowing if they obeyed the boss's order or hoped that Emily, the responsible doctor, took a position. Emily, however, was still shocked by the revelation of the photo. William, with a weak voice, tried to impose himself. "No, not before they understand. This photo is proof of my hidden life. I'm not the one who everyone thinks. If I die without revealing, it will be in vain." Dr. James advanced, the hardened face. "You are raving, and you, nurse," said, looking straight at Sarah, "keep that ridiculous necklace. You're confusing the hospital with the confession room." Here we don't deal with family secrets. We try to save lives." Sarah felt her legs tremble. His instinct said that there was something bigger behind, a swing truth that connected to that powerful man and the story of his own family. But how to face the hospital's top authority? And would you, in her place, obey or risk the boss's fury? Emily, realizing the severity of the situation, tried to argue, "Dr. James, I understand his haste, but perhaps it is important to understand what this necklace means to the patient. He is conscious. He demands it." "Conscious?" James countered, ripped. "A man bleeding, on the verge of organs bankruptcy, speaking of old necklaces and memories, and you call it conscience. This is delirium. We are not psychologists, doctor. We are doctors." William shook, coughing blood again. "It's not delirium. Amanda, Sarah, you need to hear before it's late." Sarah squeezed the necklace against her chest. The weight of William's words crushed her. Amanda, her mother, has always been discreet, silent about the past. Would you have hidden from her a connection with this man? A link capable of changing everything he knew about his origins? And have you ever seen yourself faced with a revelation that could rewrite the story of your own life? The environment was divided. Some hospital professionals muttered that James was right, that the surgery was urgent. Others looked at Sarah and the photo in the necklace, too intrigued to ignore. "Doctor." James hit the clipboard on the table, the highest voice than ever. "Last warning. If we do not take this patient to surgery now, I will give the order myself. And who dare to disobey me, to prepare to face the consequences?" He didn't just speak as a doctor. He spoke like a boss that controlled not only that hospital, but also the career and future of everyone inside. Emily hesitated, the responsibility weighing on her shoulders. But William spoke again, every word as a decis perish. "You don't understand. The truth is in the photo. It's my whole life hidden there. If I die without revealing it, the world will continue to live a lie." Sarah could not resist. "Dr. James, what if he's right? What if this secret really matters?" James shot her with her eyes. "You are just a waitress on duty, here to serve coffee and obey orders. There is no voice in this room." The humiliation was like a blow, but also awakened in Sarah a flame of courage he had never felt. She lifted the necklace, the very visible photography, and stared at all. "You can call me what you want, doctor, but my mother gave me this necklace saying that one day I would understand, and now I understand that this day has come." The tension exploded as gunpowder. The silence that followed was more eloquent than shouting. William smiled even in the midst of pain, tears dripping from his eyes. "She's stronger than she thinks. Amanda would be proud." Emily swallowed hard. "I didn't know what to do. If he followed James, he would save William's life, but would erase the chance to reveal a story that seemed to carry deep secrets of family and power. If you gave the patient's ears, and Sarah, he would risk his own career. And you, in place of Emily, follow the protocol or the heart. Doctor." James took 2 steps forward, facing Sarah. His voice was a threatening whispering, "Close this necklace now. If you dare to get in again, it will not only be expelled from this hospital, but it will never get any work anywhere." The necklace still shone open in the hands of the young woman. The dilemma was unbearable. At that moment, William squeezed his eyes and, in a last effort, raised his trembling voice. "If they take me now, it will be like killing me again. Because the first time has gone into that orphanage when they took the chance to have a family." The phrase hit everyone as a knife. Even James seemed to falter for a second, but soon he recomposed herself. He raised the clipboard, ready to give the final order to take the patient. The team moved toward the stretcher, obeying automatically. It was then that the room light flashed twice, and a shadow appeared in the hallway, calling by Sarah's name. The shadow in the hallway called Sarah's name, but no one dared to move. The young woman's heart shot. The necklace still hung in her hand, open, exposing the old photograph. Dr. James advanced, ordering them to close the door and take William immediately. But the billionaire raised his hand, fragile and trembling, and his voice, even hoarse, cut the air like a blade. "I prefer to die than entering that room without seeing this picture." The silence fell hard. Emily backed up a step, unable to believe what she'd heard. Sarah felt her throat dry. The nurses stopped, as if each of them understood that this was not just a refusal, but a sentence. "William, please," Emily begged, trying to recover medical logic. "If we don't get in now, your heart won't resist. You need to trust us." But he denied a movement of his head. "You don't understand. I spent my whole life surrounded by secrets, a hidden life I hid from the world. I let them believe in an invented version of me. Now, in the face of death, I won't carry a lie. I want the truth before my eyes." Dr. James exploded. "This is irrational. Thousands of people depend on this man. Companies, employees, whole families. You're a billionaire. You can't afford to be the luxury of emotional thermotrinhos." William slowly turned his face to James, staring at him with an unexpected intensity. "And what does a billionaire be for being, if I could never be a son, a brother, part of a real family?" The impact of the sentence reverberated. Even the hardest professionals felt a tightness in the chest. The image of the mighty tycoon crumbly before them, revealing only a broken man, looking for something that money could never buy. Sarah squeezed the necklace against her chest, the heart divided between fear and courage. Amanda, her mother, had always told him that that reliquary kept more than a simple memory. She kept a secret capable of changing destinations. Now everything made sense. And would you, in her place, show the photo or keep the secret to the end? Emily took a deep breath. "Doctor, James, if it is the patient's will, we can't force him." James hit his hand against the wall, furious. "You are all mesmerized by a delirium. He needs surgery, not cheap nostalgia. If you die here, you are your fault." William coughed hard. The blood stains the sheets. Even so, his voice rose again. "No, doctor. If I die, it will be because they never allowed me to be myself. I was always only boss, the untouchable man, the empire. Never William." Sarah felt tears burning in her eyes. That man didn't speak like a tycoon about it. He spoke like someone who had finally found a gap to free his soul. Emily held his hand. "What do you want us to do?" William pointed with difficulty to necklace. "I want to see the picture, first of all. I want to see and I want to hear from Sarah what your mother said." The young woman shuddered. He never thought that little reliquary would be so important. Amanda had only told him, "One day you will understand what loyalty and destiny means." A day, but it had never revealed anything else. "And you've been through something that looked like a simple detail, but then you showed the center of the whole truth." Sarah walked to the edge of the bed. William's gaze accompanied her with despair. She opened the reliquary again and showed photography to the man. His eyes wore immediately. "I was just a boy, with no one." That necklace was the only proof that he was not alone. Amanda. She believed me when no one believed. His breathing became heavier. The heart monitor whistled, accelerated. Emily signaled nurses to prepare, but William shook their heads. "No, not until it is over." Dr. James exploded again. "This is suicide. Do you prefer to die to accept help? Well, if this is your desire, I won't be part of this madness. But do not say I did not warn." He left the room, knocking on the door tightly. The sound echoed through the corridors, leaving only Billionaire's tension and breathing. Sarah, with a trembling voice, asked, "Mr. William, what exactly did my mother mean to you?" He smiled, a sad smile. "She was my only family when there was nothing. The world forced me to hide it, to hide you all. But now, in the face of death, I don't want secrets anymore. I want shocking truth." The words cut Sarah inside. She never imagined that her simple mother, who worked her entire life without ever talking about the past, was linked to such a big story. Emily took William's hand firmly. "If it's not now, maybe never be able to tell. Are you ready to reveal?" William closed his eyes. taking a deep breath. When he opened them again, there was a flame in them. "I'm ready." Sarah swallowed hard. Everything indicated that what would come next would change not only William's life, but hers as well. It was then that the monitor fired on a deafening alarm. Billionaire's body began to tremble, and the nurses ran to stabilize it. Emily shouted quick orders, trying to keep control. But even in the midst of the seizure, William grabbed Sarah's arm and murmured something almost inaudible. "Look, in the hidden letter, behind the photo." The shock toured her spine. Letter, hidden in the reliquary. She had never noticed it. With trembling hands, he tried to examine the small object, and it was then that he felt a piece of folded paper, carefully hidden behind the faded photograph. Sarah's heart stopped for a moment. And the moment he pulled the paper out, the room door opened once more, and an unexpected figure entered, saying, "This letter belongs to me." The figure that entered the room advanced with firm steps, his eyes spiked in the open reliquary in Sarah's hands. The billionaire struggled to breathe, but his attention was totally focused on the small, exposed photography. The silence settled again, until Emily took the necklace to look closely. She turned the reliquary in the cold light and gasped. The image, already spent for time, showed a thin boy, torn clothes, bare feet. He was sitting on the stone steps of an old orphanage, the lost gaze between innocence and pain. There was no luxury, there was no power, just the face of someone forgotten by the world. "My God," Emily murmured. "It's him." William confirmed with a weak nod. "This boy, it was me." The revelation fell like thunder. The billionaire that dominated global companies, which appeared on magazine covers and attended luxury halls, claimed before all that he began his life in a forgotten orphanage. Sarah squeezed the reliquary, feeling the photograph that so often looked without understanding. Suddenly, the pieces began to fit. His mother, Amanda, had kept that necklace for decades. Had this poor boy to know before he became the most powerful man she had ever heard? Dr. James, who had returned to hearing the commotion, shook his head in disbelief. "Don't be naive. This can be any child. Orphanages are full of boys like that. He is delirious, inventing stories to avoid surgery." William raised his voice even with difficulty. "It's not an invention. I spent years hiding my origin because they taught me that weakness does not match power. I built an empire, but I buried who I really was. This photo is the only proof that I existed before becoming the boss the world knows." Sarah could barely speak. "My mother, she always said that this picture was special, but never told the truth. She was just saying, 'One day, you will find out the weight of our family's secrets.' And you, in her place, would believe in the word of a man on the brink of death or doubt everything." The atmosphere was heavy. Emily knelt beside the bed, her teary eyes. "Mr. William, if this is true, why did you keep silence for so long?" He closed his eyes for a moment, fighting the pain before answering. "Because being a billionaire requires masks. They only respect who seems invincible. If they knew they came out of nowhere, that I grew up without a family, they would have devoured me even before I started." The impact of his words reached James, which, though skeptical, could not deny the sincere emotion that overflowed in the patient's voice. Sarah opened the reliquary completely and passed her finger over the edge of the photograph. It was then that he realized something strange, a discreet brand in the lower corner, as if it were a seal or perhaps an erased signature. "There is something written here," she said, showing Emily. The doctor narrowed her eyes and confirmed. "Yes, it looks like a letter A, maybe of Amanda." The shock traveled Sarah as lightning. Your mother had not only kept the photo, perhaps it had been there in the same orphanage, just as William was just a forgotten boy. And have you ever been through a situation where you realize that your whole childhood could be connected to a secret that no one ever told? William squeezed Emily's arm, trying to rise. "Don't let this secret die with me. This picture is just the beginning. There's a hidden letter behind her, Amanda knew that one day someone would need to find her. Sarah swallowed hard, remembering his last words before almost passing out, "Look behind the picture." With trembling fingers, she began to carefully lift the photographic roll of the reliquary. He felt something stuck, a small piece of folded paper, hidden for decades. Her heart shot. A billionaire who confessed to being an orphan. A photo revealing his hidden life. And now, a secret letter. Emily hesitated. "Sarah, are you sure you want to open it now? Can you change everything you know about your mother and about yourself?" Sarah didn't answer. Her silence was already the answer. Carefully, he pulled the paper out. It was an old letter, handwritten, with the paint faded by time. William fixed her eyes on her, tears running on her temples. "Read. Read aloud." Sarah inspired deeply, ready to unravel the content. But just as he opened the paper, the heart monitor fired a deafening alarm. William was beginning to lose the vital signs. The team ran into despair. Emily shouted, "We need to act now!" Sarah, in shock, held the letter still closed. The dilemma burned in his hands, saving his life immediately or revealing the swarry truth that could forever change everyone's story. She raised her eyes, divided between duty and revelation, and it was then that a cold voice echoed from the bottom of the room. "If this letter is read now, no one here will be unharmed." The letter shaved in Sarah's hands, but the real weight was in her heart. The reliquary, which since childhood carried as a simple family memory, was now an open abyss before her. His mother, Amanda, had given him that necklace in silence, never explaining the picture, never revealing the details. He just repeated, "One day you'll understand, but until then, keep this secret. Never show you anyone." Amanda's words echoed in her mind as an impossible order to fulfill. And now, with William, a billionaire by the brink of death, begging for answers, Sarah was divided. What was stronger? Does the promise made to the mother or the desperate request of a man who said he had hidden a whole hidden life? Emily touched her shoulder. "Sarah, we need to decide quickly. His life is in his hands." But Sarah shook her head. "My mother gave me this as sacred. I don't know if I have the right to open this letter. What if it's something that shouldn't be revealed?" Dr. James, annoyed, did not miss the chance to attack. "Finally, someone with common sense. This letter is nothing but a distraction. This billionaire needs surgery now, not sentimental memories. Save this piece of paper and we will save his life." Sarah felt her chest squeeze. James spoke like a boss used to controlling everything, but there was something in William's voice that sounded true, more human than any medical order. The powerful tycoon did not ask for fortune or control. He just asked not to die carrying secrets, and would you, in her place, confess or hide? The heart monitor whistled without respite, the increasingly accelerated sound. William writhing himself, trying to speak. "Read, please, before it's late." Sarah looked at the letter and thought of Amanda. Her mother had always been a discreet woman who worked hard, almost never talked about the past, always diverted any question about childhood, relatives, or origins. Now everything seemed to connect. Amanda didn't want her daughter to find out, or just wanted to protect it from a swing truth capable of destroying the vision that Sarah, did you have your own family? Emily, distressed, intervened. "Sarah, if this letter contains information that explains his refusal to surgery, can help us convince him to accept. Maybe it's the key to saving your life." James snorted impatiently. "Do you really believe that a piece of old paper is worth more than a scalpel? While arguing, we are losing the patient." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. He remembered when he was a child, Amanda holding his hands and saying, "Never confuse silence with weakness, my daughter. Sometimes keeping a secret is the strongest act anyone can do." But now that silence seemed more like a prison than a protection. "And have you been through something like that when you realized that someone's love may have hidden you with an unbearable truth?" When she opened her eyes again, Sarah realized that everyone watched her. Emily, pleading. James, enraged. the nurses, confused, and William, with tears running on his face, begging for the chance to see the truth before leaving. The letter seemed to burn in his hands. Her fingers almost opened her by instinct, but Amanda's voice echoed in her memory one time. "Revealing yourself too early, you can lose everything." Sarah swallowed hard. What if this letter is not for me? What if my mother left her for someone specific? Maybe I'm about to break a promise that shouldn't be broken. William, between moans, murmured, "It's not just for you, Sarah. It's for everyone. For the world. No one understands who I really am. If I die without reading, everyone will continue to believe in a lie." James advanced 2 steps, pointing his finger at her. "If you open this letter here, I guarantee your career ends today. You will just be another waitress with no future, away from the hospital, without a job, without credibility. Think well before you get in secrets you don't understand." The words were like a knife. Sarah was not a doctor. She was just an auxiliary, always striving to show value. If you disobeyed James, it would lose everything, but if it obeyed, it would deny the last will of a man who seemed to carry more pain than any physical wound. Emily faced James angrily. "You can't threaten it, not when someone's life is at stake." But James kept the posture. "I can and go, because here I'm the final voice." Sarah felt the tears run down. The letter seemed to weigh tons in his hands. Reliquary, but a symbol of maternal affection, was now a stream that held it between the past and the present. And have you ever hesitated to the point of feeling that any choice would lead to loss? The billionaire coughed hard, blood splashing in his mouth. Still, he managed to lift his eyes to Sarah and say, "If you don't read, I prefer not to go back." The words jerked her spine. It was the final choice. Respect Amanda and family secret, or fulfill the last request of a man on the verge of death that begged for redemption. Sarah took a deep breath, looking at the letter again. His hand began to undo the fold, even if consciousness shouted to stop. And it was at that moment, when the silence seemed to suffocate everyone, that the bedroom door suddenly opened. A firm, severe, and unexpected voice echoed, "If someone dare opens this letter without me, we'll regret it forever." The voice that echoed from the door froze all for a few seconds. Sarah was still holding the letter in her hands, with no courage to open her as William stirred on the bed, trying to resist the pain that consumed her strength. Everyone's eyes turned to the reliquary, and once again to photography inside it. The old and faded image seemed to vibrate under the cold light of the hospital, as if carrying more than a simple record in itself. William tried to lift, but the body did not respond. With effort, he lifted his head just enough to fix his gaze in the photograph. His lips trembled, and his voice came out like a whisper loaded with emotion and pain. "This boy, it's me." The statement fell like an explosion. Sarah felt a shiver traveling her spine. Emily took her hand to her mouth, unable to disguise the shock. Even the nurses, who until then only obeyed orders, looked at each other. Unbelievers. "Doctor?" James snorted, but there was something in his expression that denounced a spark of doubt. "Do you expect us to believe that? May the most powerful man in the country, a billionaire, began his life as a forgotten orphan?" William closed his eyes for a moment, tears sliding down his temples. "Wait, no. I need to believe. I hid my hidden life for decades, put on the merciless mask because it was the only way to survive in the business world. But here, in the face of death, there is no reason to hide. This dirty boy alone. It was all I went before I became what I am today." Sarah squeezed the reliquary against her chest. The weight of that revelation crushed her. Amanda, her mother, had never talked about orphanages, but now, obviously, she knew this story. Perhaps it had been next to William in those dark days. And would you, in his place, have the courage to confess this origin, or keep hiding to the end? Emily approached the bed, trying to keep her calm, but her voice failed. "Mr. William, if this is true, why never spoke before? Why let everyone believe that the Lord was born in the cradle of power? He took a deep breath, coughing blood next, but replied, "Because in the world of the rich, being vulnerable is to sign his death sentence. I couldn't be the boy in the orphanage. I needed to be the empire. Only then would I have." The name fell like a bomb over Sarah. "My mom." William looked at her in the eye, her embargoed voice. "Amanda was the only person who saw me as a human, not as number, not as a project of wealth. She believed in me when I didn't believe anything. It was she who kept this picture. She kept the flame of my living origin. And now I see that you are the link that I was left with her." Sarah felt the floor disappear under her feet. His mother, the simple woman who always avoided talking about the past, was directly linked to the man that everyone knew as a symbol of power and fortune. What most Amanda would have hidden. And have you discovered a secret about someone in your family that changed everything you believed so far? Dr. James tried to resume control, the voice dry and impatient. "This is just a convenient story. You are delirious, Mr. William. No one here can confirm this version." But William laughed weakly, a bitter laugh. "I don't need confirmation. This is my shocking truth. You can ignore, you can try to erase, but she lives on this reliquary. She lives in this picture, and now lives in Amanda's daughter." Everyone turned to Sarah. The silence weighed like lead. She, who until that moment she just watched and hesitated, had become the center of the revelation. It wasn't just a waitress serving coffee at the hospital. He was the bearer of a secret capable of redefining the story of a billionaire and his own family. Emily touched her shoulder. "Sarah, what did your mother tell you about this photo?" The words arrested in the young woman's throat. She never told me anything. Just said she kept the necklace and that one day I would understand. I thought it was just any memory. But now," William completed the phrase for her, "now you understand it's the wire that connects everything." Sarah took a deep breath, trying to hold her tears. "If this is true, why did my mother never speak? Why hide from me who knew the most powerful man in the world?" William closed his eyes, the pain stamped on his face. "Because sometimes love is to protect. She knew that my life was full of enemies, secrets, shadows. If she revealed, she would put you at risk. She kept silence so she could live without carrying my weight." The heart monitor fired again. The line almost collapsed. Emily shouted for help, but William held her arm with surprising strength to someone in such a serious condition. "No, not yet. I need to end." His voice shaved, but there was fire in his words. "That boy never died. He lived hidden, suffocated by the billionaire that everyone admires. But now it's time for him to come back." The tears dripped from Sarah without her being able to control. She understood deep down that the letter in her hands was not just a piece of paper. It was the final link between his mother, this man, and the shocking truth that could change everything. She looked at the bent, still closed, and felt that every second weighed as an eternity. It was then that the living room door once again opened sharply. A woman entered, her face pale, her eyes teary. She looked at the reliquary in Sarah's hands and said in a low but firm voice, "This boy is not just him. It is also part of my story." The unexpected appearance of the woman left everyone real estate. Sarah could barely breathe, the reliquary still in her hands, the folded letter hidden behind the photograph. The heart of the hospital seemed to have stopped with hers. The woman, with firm strokes and pain, laden with pain, slowly advanced to the bed where William struggled to breathe. He watched her with effort, his eyes half circled, but his voice came out firm, urgently loaded. "This necklace, I need to know where it came from." Sarah trembled. "It was the question I had feared from the beginning, the same as your mother had avoided all her life." Amanda had given him that reliquary with words that still echoed in his memory. "Never reveal the origin of this gift unless it is the right time." And now, in front of Billionaire by the brink of death, is that the time, or just a trap that could destroy everything? Emily, distressed, approached the young woman. "Sarah, he won't bear much more time." You know where you see EO, you need to say. James, impatient, snorted loudly. This is crazy. Let's lose the patient because of a theatre of secrets. This billionaire doesn't need memories of the past, needs surgery. But William, ignoring the doctor, held Sarah's wrist with the little strength left. Look in my eyes, tell me, who gave you that necklace? The silence was unbearable. Everyone was awaiting the answer that seemed to define the destination not only of William, but also from Sarah. She took a deep breath, remembering her mother's voice. Keep, protect, only reveal when there is no more choice. Now, was there a choice? Or was there no more time? And would you, in her place, confess or hide? The newly arrived woman who had observed everything with intensity decided to say, this necklace belonged to Amanda, and if she's in her hands, he pointed to Sarah. It is because she trusted that her daughter would carry a secret you couldn't keep, William. Billionaire closed his eyes, his face contoured in pain and emotion. Amanda, always her, always remembering who I was. So it's true. Are you her daughter? Sarah nodded, feeling her legs weakening. Yes, she's my mother, but she never told me anything about the Lord. He never said there was a connection between you. His eyes shone. She kept what I couldn't. I buried my origin, my failures, to become the boss that the world respects. But she kept my heart inside this reliquary. The tears fell from Sarah's face. Why? Why was all this hidden? Why have you never sought for us? If it was so important, why only now? William coughed. The blood stains his mouth, but his voice gained strength, driven by the truth he had carried in silence for so long. Because if they knew I came out of nowhere, I was an orphanage boy, I would never have come where I arrived. I needed to be invincible, the inaccessible billionaire. I couldn't have a family, I couldn't have weaknesses. Amanda knew that. And yet he kept this piece of me, so that I could no longer escape. He found me. The shock toured the room. Sarah felt her entire life crumbling under her feet. His silent mother had kept not only a secret, but a vital link of that man's hidden life. And have you ever lived something like when you discovered that your own family knew more about the past than ever revealed? Emily cleared the tears discreetly, but still insisted. Mr. William, you need to let us do the surgery. If you survive, you may finally say everything, but if you resist more, you may not have time. He stared at her firmly, not even hearing her. I need Sarah to say, how did this necklace come to your hands? Sarah trembled. I knew the answer. He clearly remembered the night that Amanda handed her the reliquary. His mother cried, but didn't explain anything. He just said he kept, that it was part of family Sarah would never know. James has intervened again. This is a waste of time. He is dying, and you want a melodramatic confession. If you die here, you will have blood in your hands. Sarah closed her eyes, holding the letter she still didn't have the courage to open. When he spoke, his voice was embargoed. My mother gave me that necklace when I was still a child. I said only that one day I would understand, and that inside it was something more than the photo, something that should be protected at any cost. William smiled, even in the midst of pain. She never changed. Always believed that a secret kept in the heart was stronger than any fortune. And you are proof that Amanda won, because now I see her in you. Sarah almost collapsed. I wanted to ask more, wanted clear answers, but before I could speak, William grabbed his hand and with a firmer voice than everyone expected said, this picture, this card, do not belong to you or me. They belong to the truth. And I will not close my eyes until I hear every word. The heart monitor accelerated. Emily looked desperately to the nurses. James has already raised his hand to give the final order to take him forcibly to the operating room. Sarah looked at the letter in her hands, folded, intact, and felt that the whole room held her breath. It was then that the newly arrived woman approached, took the reliquary from her hands and, staring everyone, said in a cold tone, if this letter is read here, The secret you want so much can destroy more than save. The silence after the words of the newly arrived woman was suffocating. Sarah was still holding the letter, the reliquary opened in her hand, the lost look between fear and hope. William breathed with difficulty. Each breath looked like a battle. Still his voice, hoarse but determined, cut the heavy air. This necklace, it's not just a gift. It came from Amanda. She gave me, because one day, a long time ago, I saved her life. Everyone in the room were real estate. Emily took her hand to her mouth, wide eyes. Sarah, astonished, not see it is moving a muscle. James, always skeptical, tried to laugh, but her voice failed. Saved her life. What kind of melodramatic tale is this? William closed his eyes, as if she plunged into the memories. It's true. I was still a boy in the orphanage. Amanda was there too. She was smaller than me, always silent. One day, during one of the inspections, one of the supervisors tried to take her. I didn't think, I didn't hesitate. Night, when I woke up, she was by my side and put this necklace on my neck. The tears ran down Sarah's face. My mother never told me that. William stared at her tenderly. Because she wanted to protect you from the horrors of the past. She knew that the hidden life we loaded could destroy her if you knew too early. And would you, instead of Amanda, keep the silence forever or reveal the shocking truth to your own son? James interrupted, trying to recover control. This is just delirium. A man on the brink of death is not reliable. We are listening to fables while his heart too. But William's expression was not of a delirium. It was from a man freeing himself from decades of heavyweight. Amanda, it was my only true family. Even when the whole world told me that I was worth nothing, she believed me. That's why I hid this secret. I didn't want the wolves that surrounded me in the business world, devoured the only pure part that was still left of me. Sarah squeezed the reliquary against her chest. Now he understood why his mother had always said that this object carried more than a memory. It was proof that the billionaire that the world knew already had been a vulnerable boy, saved by Amanda's friendship and goodness. Emily, thrilled, asked, "And you never tried to find her after leaving the orphanage?" The pain stamped in his eyes. "I tried, but when I finally had power and money to look for her, she had already disappeared. All I found was silent. To this day, I didn't know if Amanda was alive or dead. But now, I see that she left you, Sarah. And you're her peace that came back to me." Sarah didn't contain the tears. "My mother always said that there was someone in the world who had changed her life forever. But I never imagined it was you." Billionaire closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. "She didn't lie. I owe her everything. Amanda gave me the courage to keep living. And now, you gave me a chance to find her back through you. And have you ever lived something like when an old story of your family has resurfaced to completely change your view of the present?" James, already without patience, raised his voice. "Enough! This won't save anyone. If we don't take him now, he dies." But William shouted with a force that surprised everyone, "So I die. But I don't enter that room without honoring Amanda's memory." The room trembled with the strength of its refusal. Emily tried to intervene, but he continued, "You don't understand. This necklace is not just a memory. He is proof that there is still humanity in me. He is the reason I still be here." Sarah looked at the letter he held. "And this letter? Was it also written by my mother?" William nodded with difficulty. "Yes, Amanda wrote. I never knew what she put there. Only that would be revealed one day, when time was right. Now, it's time." The weight of the letter increased in Sarah's hands. Your mother's words echoed again. "One day you will understand." And that day had finally arrived. Emily, almost in tears, asked, "Sarah, open. If this letter contains something important, it can be the key to saving your life, and to reveal the shocking truth we all need to hear." Sarah hesitated. The heart was beating out. The fear of betraying the mother's confidence struggled against the urgency of meeting William's last request. And would you, in her place, open the letter or continue to protect the secret? Billionaire stared at her with teary eyes. Please, that's all I ask. Open. Show me what Amanda wanted me to see before the end. Sarah's tears fell on the yellowish paper. She began to undo the fold, the whole room accompanying each movement with her breath suspended. When she finally began to open the letter, William let out a heavy sigh, as if about to rest for the first time in decades. But before Sarah could read, a firm hand grabbed her wrist, preventing her. The cold and threatening voice echoed through the room. If this letter is read now, you will all pay the price of the truth. The hand that held Sarah's wrist was firm, almost aggressive. She was startled, almost dropping the letter. Everyone in the room arrested their breath. But William, even weakened, raised his eyes and recognized the gesture of containment. "Release her," he murmured with effort. The person who owned her hesitated, but slowly removed her hand. Sarah swallowed hard, still shaking. The letter remained closed on his fingers, but the moment had made it clear. There were people in that room who didn't want the truth to come out. William turned his gaze to Sarah, tears dripping from his tired eyes. He seemed to see beyond the simple uniform, beyond apparent fragility. It was as if Amanda was before him again. With a choked voice he asked, "Tell me, girl, who is your mother?" Sarah trembled. I had spoken before, but now the words carried another weight. "Amanda, my mother is Amanda." Billionaire's heart shot. The monitor whistled loudly, denouncing his emotion. Emily tried to calm him down, but William grabbed Sarah's arm with an unexpected force to someone so debilitated. "So it's true. You're her daughter. You're Amanda's daughter." The revelation exploded in the room as dynamite. Emily looked at Sarah incredulously. The nurses looked at each other, unable to believe. Even James, always skeptical, retreated a step, stunned. Sarah, with teary eyes, replied, "Yes, she never told me about the Lord. He never said that they had shared the past. All I knew was that this necklace was sacred, that kept a secret that one day I would understand. But now I don't know if I want to understand." William smiled, even with tears in his eyes. "You can't imagine how much I searched for her, how much I dreamed of finding her. And now, in the face of death, God sends me. You are proof that I haven't lost everything, that the family that always denied me still exists. And would you, in her place, believe every word or suspect that it was all a man's delirium about?" Sarah cried in silence. The memories of his childhood appeared in flashes. Amanda crying alone in the room, hiding letters and old objects, dodging questions about her youth. Now everything made sense. It was not ashamed. It was protection. Emily moved, tried to intervene. "Mr. William, you need to calm down. If the pressure continues to go up, we won't be able to control it." But he didn't hear her. He held Sarah's hand as if it were the last anchor to keep breathing. "You don't understand. You are her continuity. I lost her, but I won you, and I won't close my eyes without saying that I consider her part of my family." Sarah sobbed. "My mother always said that there was someone who had given her strength when she thought she had no hope anymore. I never knew who it was. Now I know. It was you." William closed his eyes, smiling in the tears. "So she didn't forget. She never forgot me, and she kept it on you." The shock hovered in the air. James, unable to accept the scene, tried to recover control. "It doesn't matter now. He's collapsing. If we don't operate it, he will die in minutes." This revelation changes nothing, but for everyone there, everything changed. Billionaire was not just a businessman, a feared boss. He was an orphan who had found the only person he had believed in him, and now, in front of her daughter, could finally reconcile with hidden life herself. And you've been through something like this, where a secret of your family appeared too late, but still changed everything? Sarah looked at the letter in her hands. Now he understood that this was the last link. Amanda had predicted that one day her daughter would have to face the truth, and that she would be the bridge between the past and the present. William, panting, stared at her once more. "Open, please. I need to hear her words. One last time." The whole room fell silent. Sarah took a deep breath, his shaking hands undoing the fold of the paper. Emily and the nurses followed the movement with teary eyes. James tried to contain the fury, but no one else gave him attention. When Sarah opened the letter, he immediately acknowledged his mother's handwriting. The ink was already faded, but still readable. The heart shot, the tears turning on his vision. With a choked voice, she started reading aloud. "William, if one day these words come to you, means fate was stronger than our choices. I never forgot the orphanage boy who put your life at risk to save mine. You gave me the courage to live, and I always carried this debt in my heart, but I knew your way would be too dangerous. So I hid the truth of our daughter." Sarah stopped, shocked, her hands shaking. Emily widened her eyes. "Our daughter." The letter continued, but the revelation had already exploded in the room like thunder. Billionaire began to cry wildly. "Our daughter, you!" Sarah dropped the letter, astonished, unable to breathe. The floor seemed to crumble under his feet. William, in tears, held his hand with all the strength he still had. "You are not just Amanda's daughter, you are my daughter too." The heart monitor fired. The alarms echoed through the room. Nurses ran in desperation. Emily shouted orders, but Sarah could only hear the phrase that had just changed her whole life, and it was in this absolute chaos that William released his last scream. "I found her, but do I still have time to be a father?" The sound of the monitors dominated the room. Each beep was a countdown, every second a cruel reminder that William's time was running out. Sarah was still, the letter lying on the floor, the words, "our daughter," echoing in her mind without a respite. The billionaire, crying, held his hand with the strength of those who did not want to let her escape. Emily, fighting her own tears, leaned over him. "William, we need to decide now. If you don't get into the surgery, there will be no chance of continuing to live this discovery. Please accept it." William, for the first time since the fight had started, let out a long sigh. His gaze softened, and a sad smile came on his face. "I fought this truth all my life. I ran away from her, hid, turned into a boss that no one dared to face. But now, before my daughter, I can no longer escape. If there is a chance to survive, I accept, but with a condition." Sarah wiped her tears quickly. "What condition?" He squeezed his hand with the low strength left. "I want to find your mother again. I want to see Amanda. I want to look into her eyes and say that I didn't spend a lifetime in vain. I need to ask forgiveness. I need to say I never forgot it." The request crossed the room like a lightning. Even James, who always treated everything coldly, was speechless. Emily swallowed and nodded. "We'll find Amanda. I promise." "And would you, in her place, give this promise to a man about to die, even without knowing if he could fulfill her?" Sarah, still in shock, held his hand firmly. "I will find her. I promise. Whatever happens, Mrs. Amanda will know that the Lord has not forgotten her, and that I am your daughter." The tears ran down William's eyes. The billionaire, who had passed the life being seen as invincible, now undressed from all masks. He was just a broken man, with a heart that begged for redemption and love. James tried to resume control. "This is a waste of time. We need to take it now to the operating room." But this time, William couldn't resist. "Okay, doctor, do what I have to do, but no, may my life only be worth it if I can see Amanda again." Emily signaled to the nurses. The stretcher was in a hurry, and the atmosphere became a whirlwind of voices, orders, and hasty steps. Sarah walked beside him, still holding his hand. "Don't leave me, Sarah," he whispered. "If I wake up, I want you to be there, and I want you to be with me when we find your mother, because now, more than ever, I know I'm not alone." Sarah nodded, her heart tight. "I will be, always." The way to the operating room seemed endless. Each corridor, each cold lamp above them seemed to record the silent farewell to a man who had spent his entire life fleeing his origin. Now for the first time, he walked toward the unknown, not as billionaire, but as a father. And have you ever lived something like when someone you found distant suddenly revealed themselves as inseparable part of your family? At the living room door, James still tried to impose his impassive tone. Prepare it. Let's save the body, no matter how many family dramas are at stake. But Sarah stared at him firmly. For the first time, Waitress did not shrink before the hospital boss. It's not just his body that needs to be saved, Doctor. It's the whole life he has lost. If he can't understand it, then he'll never understand what he really means to save someone. James narrowed his eyes but did not answer. Emily put her hand on Sarah's shoulder in support and entered with the team. William, being prepared for anesthesia, turned his face one last time toward his daughter. If I don't come back, tell her I loved her, and that I sought her to the end. Udil, the words cut Sarah inside. The doors of the room closed, leaving it alone in the hall. She looked at the reliquary still in her hand, to the letter lying on the floor, and felt that all her life had changed in a matter of minutes. The silence of the hospital seemed to scream, each distant sound, every step of nurse echoed as a reminder of the promise he had made. Find Amanda. Show him the shocking truth that his mother had hidden. Sarah bent down, took the letter and squeezed against her chest. I will fulfill, Mother, I will fulfill. And it was in this moment of loneliness and decision that she heard steps behind her. He turned quickly and saw a figure stopped in the shadow of the hall, watching her in silence. The voice that came out of that shadow was low, but loaded with threat. You don't do idea of what is about to awaken, Sarah. Some secrets must continue buried, forever. The hospital corridor seemed colder than ever. Sarah was still holding the reliquary against her chest, while Amanda's letter burned in her hands like fire. Inside the room, William fought for life, carrying with him not only the risks of surgery, but also the weight of revealing a secret that changed everything. He was not only a distant billionaire, but the father she had never knew she had. On the other side of the door, the medical team ran, while the clock marked every second as if it were a sentence. Sarah knew that if he could not resist, his promise to gather William and Amanda could be the last chance to make sense of all that revelation. But what if he survived? What life was waiting for them after such a deep-swing truth to come to light? The dark voice that had echoed in the hall still resonated in his mind. Who else did you know about the story? Who would have so much interest in maintaining, buried the secrets of a hidden life that now threatened to come to light? Fear mingled with hope, and Sarah understood that from that moment it would be nothing more like before. And you, in her place, would have the courage to face what comes next, or would you hide the truth forever? If this story has moved you, subscribe to the channel so as not to lose continuation. Leave your like. It is very important for more people to know stories like this. Comment the phrase, I watched till the end, so I will know that you stayed with me here. And don't miss the next video that is already on the screen, because it continues exactly where this sequence has stopped, and the following revelation can be even more impactful.